All right, let's talk NFL draft. Let's bring him in, kind enough to join us for the first time. I know he's been elsewhere on the network as well. No one has done, he's done as well, I should say, as anybody in NFL drafts over the past few years. He's at Vegas Refund. You can find him on the Action Network as well. His name is Luke Swain. Luke, great to meet you, man. Thanks for coming on.
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate it, and let me we'll start with this. Now that the Will Levis Reddit Mishugas is passed, we can get through that. Do you believe? I'll start with the same question I asked earlier of Drew, who you did a wonderful podcast with on Thursday on the Deep Dive about the NFL draft. Do you believe if we look at the short shots now, and a little favorite, obviously Bryce Young at 1, we got Tyree Wilson at 2 as the short shot. We have Paris Johnson at 3 as the short shot now, and then obviously Will Levis at 4. Do you believe right now that is what's going to happen 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah. I mean, it might be somewhat of a confirmation bias based off my bets, where I would say the Paris Johnson rumors, for whatever reason, I'm somewhat buying into. Maybe more because that's a prime trade back spot the closer we get. Feels like the likelihood of the Cardinals being able to trade out is getting smaller. Whether it was like 7 would be that trendy pick in the perfect spot for Paris to go. But I'm making a mock draft right now. I'm probably putting Paris at 3. I've seen a couple mock drafts today from guys like Charles Davis even putting him there. So it does seem real, but it would be crazy for Paris Johnson to go 3 as well.
You agree, though, with the premise that this is unlike any draft of recent memory. Like, we have as little idea this year as I can ever remember.
Yeah, and we say it every year, but this one, like, it definitely feels crazier, and it really is like the Texans just being so tight-lipped, and 3 just kind of being a landmine in terms of whether they trade out or not. And then we have Jalen Carter, who we have the character issues that you just have no clue how much they're going to affect them. And then we got a bottom tier quarterback class that are just getting dragged in the top 10 because of this supply and demand aspect of it.
All right, let's do a little rapid fire. Let's start with Jalen Carter. Are you of the camp that the Seahawks absolutely will not draft Jalen Carter? Like, that was the one thing we thought we knew, that they didn't like him, right?
I've been in the camp that his under has always enticed me, but people that have been on the network like Rob Statton and others that I respect just say, like, there's no possibility. His under got absolutely destroyed yesterday.
Great.
It went from I think the 6.5 under was plus money, and now it's all the way in the 200 plus range to the under, which there's so many conflicting reports, but I would say Seahawks. Yeah, I would definitely. I can get behind Seahawks for Joe.
How you can get behind it? How far do you think C.J. Stroud falls?
I would say 8.
8.
I would say 8 is his ceiling.
Okay, so no free fall. We're just talking to 8 here.
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
If there were like odds on what pick is most likely to get traded first, I would probably put like the favorite being the Falcons at 8. And then the Seahawks, and then the Cardinals. For the Cardinals, I just have no idea where they're going to trade. Where 8 just makes too much sense if someone like Stroud falls, where they can just trade back to like 11 or 12 and get basically the same guy that they're going to get at 8, at 11 and 12, which would be a CJ Stroud prime spot for like the Titans or the Texans.
Bijan Robinson has been tied to about 75 different football teams by my latest count. Where do you think he actually goes finally?
Eagles or Texans?
Eagles at 10 or Texans currently at 12?
Yeah.
Okay. We just talked about the Mac Brown to Houston trade rumors and fleshed out a little more now in terms of the latest rumors. Do you think that is outlandish? What percentage could you put on that? Let's attribute a percentage to it on that actually happening.
Mac Jones?
What did I say, Matt? What did I say?
Mac Brown.
Mac Brown. Yeah. Well, now Mac Brown.
Not trading him.
That would be a trade. Mac Jones.
I was seeing Texas too. I was like, what?
Sorry.
You're good. The probability of Mac Jones getting traded to the Texans?
Yes.
5%.
5%. So you're
I'd
saying
say
there's a
there's a
chance.
chance. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I would love it. I would be remiss to say I don't have Patriots quarterback first position tickets
I do too.
at some
Yeah.
really fun odds.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Amico there's no confirmation bias at all in those
Yeah.
tweets either.
Okay. I'll ask this: if someone is landing on the draft right now, they have no bets, they want to make one. What is the bet currently available that you would recommend?
I would say right now, and this is kind of going against a bet that I've had before, but it's just based off value. But Eagles first position defensive line, which I think is honestly in the plus 200 range, which is a result of the offensive line kind of just getting a ton of money and coming down to a range that I just don't think it should be at this point. But when we get to 10, we have the Eagles trade rumors to 5, which you would assume that would be for Jalen Carter. And then when we get to the 10th pick, we got guys like Nolan Smith. We got even Jalen Carter, where defensive line is a premium position. And at plus 200, it just makes a lot of sense for the first position odds, where there are scenarios that offensive line is still alive for anyone that tailed the offensive line pick, I want to say a month ago, where Skoronski is just the best available. But defensive line, there are just so many more outs and so many more scenarios that even if they do trade, it can still happen. Or if Nolan Smith can still happen. Or even Van Ness.
I have Van Ness.
So plus 200.
Yeah, I have Van Ness going there.
Yeah, so like at plus 200 for the Eagles first position, it shouldn't be those odds anymore.
What are you saying now, Kelley? You said it was shorter than that?
Plus 130 at DraftKings.
Still plus money.
Shop around.
Shop around, yeah. You can get better than that, perhaps. Yeah, dude, if Lucas Van Ness goes 10 to the Eagles, let alone, obviously, the Patriots drafting a quarterback first, my draft is made. But I need to make up for some bad bets that I certainly already have in pocket. Is the Eagles to defensive line the most lockstep team to position, or is that the Jets and offensive line, or is there another combination?
I would say Jets. Jets are Colts quarterback, Jets offensive line. I would say are the two like lockstep consensus.
Besides Panthers quarterback, obviously at the top.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What then becomes of the quarterbacks? Do you think 5 go in the first round?
In principle, I can't, but I just can't get behind. Like, I can't actually bet the under quarterbacks. But if there is ever a year where that Hendon Hooker goes in the first, I guess it would be this, where the class is weaker. And when we get into the 20s, the trade-off for taking a Hendon Hooker isn't as drastic compared to previous years, where you see teams having 10 to 15 first-round graded prospects. So I can see it, and we're seeing it enough. If we start seeing guys like Jeremiah, Schrager, Brugler put Hooker in the first in their final mocks, especially to the same team, that I would buy. I still wouldn't bet it, but like I don't have enough confidence in the 5 to bet the under in principle. But Hooker's definitely alive at this point. There's enough with the class.
Over.
So I know that wasn't. Yeah.
Over now at minus 160. When we first recommended it was plus 550 on this show. By the way, Jeremiah, whenever you want to get that final mock in, it is tomorrow. So, you want to get that in. It'd be a high time. Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, do you believe the running back steam at over 1.5?
Yes.
You do? Who do you think goes first? Because you can bet on that, too, of those two.
Oh, Bijan, easy. I mean, there were some rumors yesterday about some teams having Gibbs ahead of Bijan, but that's just crazy talk. And I mean, there was one point that Gibbs's odds for second running back taken were all the way down to minus 300. I want to say last week, which like that was one that like you can lay. Where I think it's crazy talk now, but I don't see any way. Maybe the Patriots at 14 because they just do crazy things and they are live to take a wild card first positional player at 14. Yeah, I don't see that in the picture.
Yeah, but Luke, they'll already have traded that to number 2 to get Will Levis. We've already established that.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm all for that.
I am all for that too. Okay, and then finally, offensive lineman over 5.5. This just keeps getting higher and higher and higher. Some of us got it over $2. It's now near $5. Do you think that maybe there's value on the under on that now, or are you convinced it's either 6 or 7 offensive linemen?
If you want to, the 6.5, it is at, it's 5.5, but it's moved to 6.5 at some places like FanDuel, where that would be an under, and a great middle if you have the over 4.5. But
sure would be.
I don't think I would play the over 5.5 and the under 6.5. The over 5.5 was one of those just auto, and it just kept getting higher and higher.
All right.
6.5, you're really getting dicey.
I'll leave you with this. Given the crazy nature of this draft, if I gave you a net positive right now, we wake up Friday morning, I said, you got a net positive in your account. Would you take it? A modest one?
Yes.
You would take the modest net positive. That's what most people are saying at this point. All right, Luke. This is going to be fun, man. Really appreciate it. We think we all know where number 1 is going, but goodness, what happens at 2 and 3 and beyond is anybody's guess. Great to meet you, man. Good luck with all your bets.
Appreciate it.
Luke Swain at Vegas Refund, also at The Athletic. Kind enough to join us on the NFL Draft.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.